Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the Facilities Committee of the Lammersville Unified School District on December 17th, 2020 to order at 6:31 p.m. We will start with roll call. Colin Clements is not attending tonight. He is absent. Jimmy LeGrand,
Here.
Thorsten Harrison,
Present.
Andrea Gemlich.
Here.
Did I pronounce your name right, Andrea?
That's Gemlish with a sh.
Gemlich. Okay. Okay. And are you Andrea or Andrea?
It's Andrea. You got
Okay.
that.
All right. And Saint Vinod?
Here.
Okay, thank you. So I will be running the meeting tonight. Oh, and Sharon Lampel, Board President, I'm here. So Mr. Clements is unable to attend tonight, so I'll be running the meeting in his absence. So I would like to start by moving up item number 5, information and discussion. Letter A, new community member of facilities committee introduction, Andrea Gemlich. Can I change that? Can I shoot that over to you, Mr. Harrison?
Yes. Thank you. So Andrea went through the process of community volunteers to become a member of the Facilities Use Committee. First, I want to thank Andrea for her willingness to participate. There was 19 applications, and she was chosen by the previous board president to serve in the role she's currently serving. She became highly recommended from Mountain House High School, Wickland Elementary School, and has previously been a volleyball coach at Wickland Elementary School. And Andrea, if you'd like to give us just a couple more tidbits about your background, that would be great.
Sure. I was also a volleyball coach at Mountain House High School as well for a couple years. I have, so I'm from Livermore originally. My husband and I are both from the area, and we just moved back here like 5.5 years ago. So we've been at Mountain House for about almost 6 years in February. And we have 5 kids. We have 3 in the school district. They're all at Wickland right now. I have an 8th grader and a 5th grader and a 2nd grader. It's hard to remember what year they're in because they're not in school. I mean, you know what I mean. 2nd grader. And then I have 2 little ones. I have a 3-year-old and a almost 1-year-old. So I actually have a teacher background as well. I was a high school German teacher for a little while before I started doing the mom thing. So that was really fun and I really enjoyed it. It's a little scary thinking about getting back into that, or don't even know if there's any of those jobs anywhere.
Wait till COVID's over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's my background. It's a little bit about me.
Well,
Thank you.
welcome to the Facilities Committee. We appreciate the time you'll be putting into this.
Thanks.
So moving on in the agenda, Mr. Harrison, do we have any public comments? Did we receive any?
No, we did not.
Okay, so we'll continue moving on to item number 4, facility use update. So,
Madam
yeah.
President, can you give me a
Yes.
moment to pull up the agenda?
oh,
And
sure.
I will scroll through as you
Okay,
as you go.
I forgot about that because I split my screen. I had my agenda up.
Can you see it on your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All righty. Okay,
So
so
I
we
will
are,
scroll down to the items as you go through.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
So Roman numeral 4, facility use update. A is facility use minutes. Does anyone have any input to the minutes from the last meeting? Okay. Letter B, finance report. Mr. Harrison?
Okay. As you can see from our colorful graphic here, our balance as of 6/30 is $179,331.62. That hasn't changed since our last meeting. We do have some outstanding projects that you can see in the encumbrance category. for some facilities changes that were approved previously at Lammersville, and one project at the high school. The project at the high school is in the agenda later on as a standing item until it gets finished. But as you can see, we're in the positive of 179,000.
Okay, any questions? All right, we'll move on to letter C, facility usage reports from September 18th, 2020 through December 8th, 2020. Mr. Harrison?
So as you can see from the bar graph, that this kind of shows the number of events that are going on as a district. And as you scroll through the documents, you'll find that the usage reports for the individual school sites are pretty barren because we have very few activities going on that are using our facilities at the school sites. Let me scroll down. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not making you dizzy. This report here is Cordis Elementary School. The Professional Development Center is on the campus of Cordis Elementary, so that's why PDC exists on this page. And this is the usage. You'll note the usage is blue. Blue means that it's our staff and our faculty or our students using the facility. If it's an orange color, it's an outside organization. And you'll note that we don't have any of those on any of the reports. I'll scroll through all the way to the bottom and then take any questions. This is the high school facility report. You can see the large facilities have the most use. People that are doing co-curricular and extracurricular activities want to spread out, so they're using the bigger rooms more than the smaller. And then I'll keep scrolling to Cuesta and the rest of the schools, and you'll note that there is nothing else. Any questions?
Just for the committee's knowledge, none of those facilities are being used now under the most recent added stringency of the shelter in place. So if we were to get a report for this week, all of them would be blank, not just the elementary schools. Any questions on facility use? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that was the last quarter of usage, that was for the last 3 months. Is that what you said? Oh yeah. Okay, so who is using that at the high school? That's students and staff? Because that seemed like a lot of usage for nobody being at the high school. What do we know?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just curious. I'm
Nope,
curious. Okay.
Of course. Would you like me to answer, Ms. Lampel? I can't see.
Yes, go ahead. Andrea, I asked Thor the same question this afternoon.
So one of the things that happens is if a school thinks that they're going to use a facility, they book it. And they book it ahead of time to ensure that they get the facility. And that's just in a general habit of the school sites. The things that are going on right now are co-curricular and extracurricular in nature. So like you saw, the high school had a lot of usage. Well, that's things like dance, that's things like marching band and music, who were allowed to participate and practice in activity prior to the close down the last week and a half. When we were in the red and orange and then yellow tiers here locally, we had not only marching band and band, we had dance, cheer, and then we had conditioning going on for sports. We had co-curricular activities like Science Olympiad, speech and debate, and activities like that are getting together as groups potentially, or the teacher is using a room and zooming in with students. We are allowed to have small cohort groups participate on campuses, even if the campus is not open for instruction. And those small groups need to be 13 members or less, even in the lockdown that we're in currently.
So if you were to go to the state COVID-19 website and you look at all their tabs, you can actually zoom in to the lowest level is by zip code. So what Mr. Harrison is talking about at earlier in this most recent quarter, we were yellow by zip code, even though the county was in red and stayed in red and didn't move lower. But if you really hone in on it, so that's why people were able to, and they were all student activities and they were all separated. So like he said, you know, they spread out more, which is why they needed larger spaces. Did that answer your question, Andrea?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
You bet.
All right. Any other questions on the facility usage reports? All righty, moving on to denied applications. I don't think this page is going to generate a lot of discussion. So we haven't had any. And next item is reimbursements to organizations. Mr. Harrison?
So we had some refunds, and some of them wanted to roll over their credit, and deposits. The request deposit for COVID-19 was a return. The other two are rollovers.
Okay, any conversation about that? All righty, moving on to item 5, information and discussion items. So we already introduced Andrea. The next one is County Department of Public Health. Mr. Harrison, would you like to update us, please?
Yes, I'm going to close the agenda shortly and open up my presentation. Let's see, what did I do? Okay, there we go. Hi everybody. And I'm going to open up this. Before I do this, let me give you a little bit of background. There we go. The County Department of Public Health sends out the guidelines for reopening schools and the guidelines for sports. The guidelines for sports are worked through with the CIF, which is the California Interscholastic Federation, and they work together to make the updated rules for what we can and cannot do with conditioning, with youth sports, with adult sports in our region, any sort of activity related to amateur sports or school sports. The most recent guidance came out yesterday, and this is the only guidance we have received since last July. That was the last time that we've received guidance of this nature. So everyone's really excited to get it because everybody's been holding their breath, waiting to see what's going to happen with our sports, with volleyball, with football, with water polo, with tennis, etc. And with the new outbreak, everything has been put on hold until January 25th. So we were going to start on December 7th with practices for the first season of sports. For a little background, the 3 seasons were condensed into 2 seasons by CIF when the pandemic hit. Now they've set a whole new criteria for when different sports can start. So it may not even be a season 1, season 2. It may be a start as you can season and play who you can season when you can. And I wanted to present this to the facilities committee first because we are impacted the most by sports in our committee, because we are all about the fields, the NPRs, the gyms, etc. And we have the most play when it comes to youth sports, community activities, as well as sports and activities in the school. So with that introduction, I'm going to go through a presentation. If you have any questions, you can holler or you can hold till the end, and I'll take down the presentation and bring back up the screen so we can see each other. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I don't know about everyone else, but I can still see everyone on the side.
Oh yeah, that's working pretty well.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move this. There we go. So the CDPH has set the groundwork and the guidance for outdoor and indoor youth and recreational adult sports. The guidance that they provided us applies to all organized youth sports, school, community-sponsored, private leagues, adult rec leagues, etc. So what I'm talking about today applies to just about anybody that would use our facilities. So athletes and coaches should cohort by team and refrain from participating with more than one team over the same season or time period. So that's going to affect us in this way. If we're only having 2 seasons, we have a number of coaches that coach 2 and 3 sports. So if we have somebody coaching basketball and also coaches baseball, if it's in the same season, we may not be able to allow that person to coach both sports. They may have to make a choice. So that this ruling is really important to us. Local health departments make the rules. That can be stricter or it can be less strict depending on the county that you're in. And when we start playing sports, we will be in close contact with our county CDPH.
So it says should. Is that a hard, fast rule or a guidance?
It's a guidance. But as I go into this and you see some of the detail they go into, it sounds to me like if you're going to have a coach coaching 2 sports, they should be non-high impact sports, or they should be sports that are easy to cohort and stay spread out and have your distancing. I don't know if it's going to be worth the risk, and we don't even know if we're going to have a season. So I think what we'll do is when we get closer, we'll have a conversation about what makes sense and what doesn't, and see if we have that problem, a coach coaching more than one activity, and then take it from there. All right. So here's the contact classification for the sports. There's 3 categories: the low contact sports, where individuals or small group sports, their contact is within 6 feet or other participants can be avoided. They can socially distance, and it's easier to control the groups. And at the end of this presentation, I have a chart that shows all the different sports and where they fall in these categories. So I'll review that later. And then there's the moderate contact sports. And these are sports that can be played with only incidental or intermittent close contact between participants. And you'll see what those are later. And then the high contact sports like football, right? Team sports with frequent or sustained close contact, face-to-face contact between participants, and a high probability for respiratory particles transmission. So here are the factors that they indicate give us more risk or less risk of transition. And this was a list that was given by CDPH. Indoor activities and indoor sports are higher risk than outdoor sports. That's kind of obvious due to reduced ventilation. That risk was the same as in July, the previous rules. The risk increases when face coverings are not worn and physical distancing is not maintained. There's new rules on face covering, and I'll cover that in a minute. You're going to be amazed at what they're asking us to do. And then the increasing levels of contact between participants, particularly face-to-face, like volleyball, if you're in the front row of volleyball, or football players. There's a frequency for close contact that increases risk. And then the greater exertion, breathing hard, and the rate of breathing gives more risk as well. Now, the other thing that is a risk is mixing cohort groups, mixing athletes, and mixing communities. So that's why right now there is no green light to play any competitions between schools. So there's some changes here. Shared equipment should be cleaned and disinfected before use by another person, group, or team. Our previous direction said no shared implements. So this is a change. They've pulled away from this because I think that the virus on a contact on a ball or an item is less risk than they thought it was previously.
Mm-hmm.
So when equipment is shared, though, during activity, participants should practice good hygiene, wash hands, use sanitizer before play, during breaks, at halftime, and after the conclusion of the activity. Balls or other objects or equipment can be touched by multiple players and used during practice and play if the above hygiene is followed. So that's a definite change to the original rules.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
It said shared equipment should be cleaned and disinfected before use by another person. Like, how does that translate to like a basketball game or a volleyball game when the ball is passed back and forth between people?
Yeah, well, the second bullet says can be touched by multiple players used during practice as long as they practice the hygiene that's listed in bullet 2.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
they're
I thought
saying
you were okay.
before play, you have to sanitize. During breaks, you have to
Okay.
sanitize. So they're really making you get after your hands.
Okay.
Did I answer your
But-
question?
Yeah, but okay, yes, but they don't have to they don't have to like sanitize the balls. Does it say anywhere that they have to sanitize? Oh, do
No.
they do have to, only in between groups? Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Right, because
Right.
latest studies are showing that the virus is not as transmittable as they thought on surfaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
So-
have a volleyball coaching friend that was having to wipe down balls in between every thing, so
And that
Good to
was
know.
the rule.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the rule. But now
Yeah.
you can do it at the end of the event, wash them all down, and be ready for
Okay.
the next day.
Does
Uh,
this mean that they are cleaning the whole gymnasium, like between cohorts, like the bleachers, the doorknobs, the whole thing?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's one of the reasons later on in this agenda, I'm going to ask for us to keep facilities use to just to our schools, because the custodial time it takes to clean everything and get everything ready for the next group, just for our kids, is going to be more so than normal.
And this keeping in mind just 12 per cohort is what you're saying, right?
Yes,
Okay, so every 12 players or every 12 people does this include the coach and
well, cohorting rules apply now. Now, if the CDPH releases us to go to the different sports, which I'll show you later, it'll make more sense in the chart that's later in the presentation. They're releasing the less contact sports and the less impact sports first, and the more impact and higher risk sports later. And I'll show you more of that later on in the presentation.
okay, thanks.
Okay. So drink bottles, I mean, that's obvious. We can't share that. They shouldn't be sharing, tape or any sort of support articles, clothing, towels, anything. I mean, that's pretty standard. And then observers, household members can observe. They need to be socially distanced from other groups. We have to reduce our crowding and maintain indoor-outdoor capacity limits by tier. So like the next line, indoor venues, we have to limit indoor sports venues to capacity for athletes and observers to the gym and fitness center guidance, which has changed. During purple, we were allowed, previously during purple, we were allowed to have 10% of our athletes in a gym or a workout facility. That has now changed. With tier 3, the orange or moderate, we can only go to 25% capacity and 50% in yellow or minimal. That is a bit of a change. And then, we want to have ventilation in the facility, so we'll want to have the blowers on full go. And I know Jimmy has already set up the ventilation systems to vent the appropriate amount when they're transferring air in and out of the buildings. But I think we can also help that by keeping doors open and getting the wind blowing through, which I think we will do if and when we get to play sports inside.
Well, there's no wind in Mountain House.
Yeah, we have plenty. So I know this is wordy, but there's a lot of rules in here, and I just wanted to make sure I read it verbatim. So permitted youth and recreational adult sports by county tier. Physical conditioning, practice, skill building, and training that can be conducted outdoors with 6 feet of physical distancing and within stable cohorts are authorized regardless of the county tier status. So like I said at the beginning, we can still have the small groups and the cohorts for training or for conditioning and physical training to get ready for sports. Such activities may be conducted indoors consistent with restrictions by tier in the gym and fitness center guidance capacity, which was that slide I just showed previously. So we have to wait until we get to orange to be able to have a capacity in those facilities. Inter-team competitions between 2 teams will not be allowed in California until January 25th. The information I have is they're going to reevaluate in January and hopefully have a decision by January 25th of what we will be able to do after that date. Inter-team competitions, meets, races, or similar events are authorized only if both teams are located in the same county and the sport is authorized in the table below. That table's coming up. Or teams are located in immediately bordering counties and the sport is authorized in both counties in the table below. Any tournaments or events that involve more than 2 teams are not permitted. Exceptions may be made depending on the local county health. So the CDPH would give us guidance on that. For the following sports where individual competitors from multiple teams are routine: track and field, cross country, golf, tennis, swimming, and diving. Those will all be released as the tiers change. And I'm going to show you that slide next. So here is the tiered slide for the county. So as our county changes from purple to red to orange to yellow, different sports and contact levels are permitted. So you know how we had the low, the moderate, and the high earlier. So the low contact sports are listed here that we would have in our schools. These are permitted after January 25th, and the CDPH gives us the green light, even if we're in purple. Not sure if that's going to happen, but we'll see. The substantial tier, or red, we are allowed outdoor moderate contact sports like baseball, cheerleading, and softball. And then in orange, outdoor high contact activities like basketball, football, soccer, volleyball, and water polo. Indoor low contact sports, badminton, dance, physical training, swimming, diving, tennis, track and field, and volleyball. Now you may ask yourself, basketball, we do that inside. Well, some schools are choosing to play outside so that they can have competition. And then the yellow, or the minimal tier, once we reach there, we can have indoor cheerleading and dance. We can have indoor basketball, soccer, if we do indoor soccer, and wrestling. So we're not going to get some of these sports until the tiers change. So the whole idea of having the 2 seasons that CIF presented in partnership with CDPH, I think that's going to change and modify. I think, and this is my opinion, I have not been told this, I think we're going to be released on our own to schedule sports as our tiers change with other counties or districts around us that are in the same tier. And it's just going to be, hey, go find a game. That's what I think is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And it's really kind of sad because I'm a sports guy and I think our kids need sports. But I think that's what's going to happen in the spring. So we'll see on the 25th of January what happens with our tier, if this thing's calmed down, and where we are and what they allow. Are there any questions? That's the final slide of this part of the presentation.
Well, it's nice to have something concrete. I don't like it. I agree with you. You know, the kids need the sports, but we also need to keep them and our coaches safe.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to have something a little bit more concrete than what we had before.
Oh, I have a question. With the facilities cleaning, is it mandatory that the custodial staff be the ones doing the cleaning of the facilities? For example, the tennis courts, I watched your guys' meeting from the last whatever. With such minimal equipment there, could the people using the facility do the cleaning in between, the ones who are leaving it, or does it have to be the custodial staff?
Would you like me to answer that one, Sharon?
Yeah, please.
Okay. No, we have to not only for contract requirements for our employees, we have to allow them to do their job, but we can't trust that other people are going to clean it well enough to be safe for our students' use. So we are going to control who cleans what on our campuses and make sure that it's done right.
Okay.
But Andrea brought up a good point. What about something like tennis? What would they be cleaning? Are they actually wiping down the net and the posts?
No, I think for tennis it would be like the benches. That's pretty minimal.
Yeah. I think benches and the handles on the gates or something, right?
Yeah, maybe? Exactly. And the kids would take care of their own equipment. They would take care of that.
Right.
So I think that's why they're in the early tier, why tennis is so early as well, because it's easier to maintain and manage.
Right.
Well, and golf, like, doesn't even have a facility that we are in control of, right? I mean,
That's
like, you don't have a hidden golf course somewhere, do you?
We used to.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on this?
So I'm sorry. Sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll think about it. My question.
I see swimming in the list. So do we have the contract with the CSD still in the back burner?
So this is for our swimming teams.
Okay.
The contract with the CSD is for summer swim.
Okay. But
Yeah.
are we even thinking about it or no?
It's not even 2021 yet. You know, and the contract that that the board signed with them was a 2-year contract.
Okay.
So if we are out of this mess that we're in and the Department of Health gives us the go ahead to open up recreational swim, then we're ready to go
Okay.
because we already have the contract. So we don't have to take the time to do all of that.
Okay.
We may have to make some amendments to it if there is still some COVID around for extra cleaning and stuff like that. Did I leave anything else out, Thor?
You nailed it. And that's a great segue into the next item. That was perfect.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I just had one more question. Sorry, it was a very good segue, but just wanted to backtrack. You said something earlier in the presentation about what the county was asking us to do with masks, and I don't recall you actually saying what they were telling us to do.
You know what? I didn't. I apologize.
Yeah.
They're expecting us to wear masks as long as we can. So even in high impact sports, wear a mask unless you cannot breathe.
Okay.
So,
Until you pass out.
what's that?
Players?
What's that?
Yeah,
Oh.
she was asking the players.
Oh.
Yeah, the players,
Yeah.
all the players, all the coaches have to wear face coverings. And even players that play like soccer or football or cross country, they want them to wear a mask if they can. And that's been a deviation from the rules that they had previously. The rules previously said that you did not have to wear a face covering if you were a high intensity sport.
Right, because they faint. Because you're
Yeah. Andrea, I'm glad you caught me on that because I glossed over that piece. That I agree with you completely. So that's going to be a challenge when we come back to those higher intensity sports.
Yeah,
that
you can imagine.
Yeah, that seems very subjective though. Like as long as you can, like either they're passing out and you take it off. Or,
we don't want to get to that point.
Or they take it off.
We wait for one person to faint and then we make it go.
I can't even imagine the kids doing any kind of sport that's, you know, raising their breathing rate. I have slight asthma, and when I go for long walks, I feel like that mask is suffocating me.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on the County Department Public Health update? Okay, thank you for that presentation. So the draft for extra sanitization fee facility use during COVID amendment number 1, Mr. Harrison.
All right, let me pull that up. Oops. There we go. Okay. Sorry, give me a second. Oh, it disappeared. Where'd it go? Let's see. Yeah, let me see here. Let me see if it's down here. It is not. Went away.
I have another question.
Yeah.
It's like, I think in your last meeting you said that the facilities cleaning crew or like skeleton crews at this point, right? Somebody said that, or no? Do we still have like full staff with janitorial services and stuff?
We had some positions to hire, and we've gotten them all hired. I think there's one outstanding, Jimmy, at the high school.
No, we have one at Wicklin, 2 at the high school, and one at Altamont.
So we're still hiring, and it's
Oh,
been
okay.
a challenge. We've gone through a number of interview processes, but yeah, we're trying to
Mhm.
get everybody in place.
Okay, I was gonna say that seems like that job would be much more needed now than instead of letting people, yeah, okay, just
Yeah,
curious.
it is vital. So apparently I lost the page that has the update for the facilities fees. You guys have it in your packet. Can you see it, or?
Do you all have
I
your
don't
agendas, because it's in that packet? I don't know if you can see it on your computer while you're, I
Yeah.
split my screen, so I brought mine up.
We can see, I can see it in my own screen.
Okay,
I'm just gonna pull it up really quick.
okay. And that's on page 18 of the agenda. We lost your voice again, Thor.
I'm sorry. Can you
There
hear
you
me
go.
now?
We couldn't hear you for a second, but you're
Okay.
good now.
Okay. Okay. So if I may, can I maybe I can read it to you so it's in the record, the changes that were proposed at the last facilities meeting. I was asked to create some language to add to our facilities use handbook for extra cleaning required due to pandemic. We added a section. We added what it would look like if we add it to the facilities handbook. It's highlighted in yellow, and the language is VC, which is the page before the last page of the booklet. So page 24. We made it simple so that it can just stay in there for the duration of the facilities handbook. And we didn't say COVID. We put exceptional circumstances, and then in parentheses put pandemic. Everybody will know what we're talking about. But other things could happen, and so we can leave this there. And if a outdoor group is going to use a facility and we're still in the outer reaches of a pandemic, we would need to charge more money for cleaning because it has to be a more comprehensive cleaning between groups. So that is the proposed language.
Yeah. Any questions or comments about that?
I guess I'm not seeing where I'm looking at the facilities. Is this the handbook that you sent?
It's the last 2 pages of the
Of the
agenda for
agenda.
tonight
Oh,
Yeah.
of the agenda.
on the agenda.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But the item is related to the facilities handbook.
Okay,
That's how
look up the agenda.
So
Okay.
page
So it's the
18 of
last
the
2 pages.
agenda has the summary of the change, and page 19 of the agenda is a copy of page 25 out of the handbook.
I guess I didn't realize the agenda was so long.
Yeah.
I didn't either when I hit print.
I thought I looked through it, but apparently not the whole thing. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions on that?
And this is for outside groups using the facilities, right?
That is correct.
Okay, any questions on that? All right, and I particularly like the wording because it's general enough to leave it there. So who knows what the state
I
of our
think that's
planet.
what your advice was at the last meeting, Sharon.
Wasn't that smart of me? So.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that. Facility use permits, Mr. Harrison?
Yeah, so we kept this on the agenda from the last meeting to talk about allowing outside groups to use our facilities. Last time we met, staff advice was not to allow outside groups to use our facilities through the new year. I think that we need to continue that ban of use from outside groups until we can reevaluate at our next facilities meeting, see where we are with the county. Because if we're going to have these different sports starting at different times and multiple seasons at once, we're going to need all our gyms, many NPRs from the K-8s,
Mhm.
fields at the high school, all of them, and fields at Cordis, Hanson, and potentially at Bethany.
So we'll need some time once we can move into any other tiers for our own groups to sign up for the facilities before we can offer them out. And chances are that anything that will be left, there'll be nothing, because our kids will be using all of the facilities to squeeze in what they've missed the rest of the year. So is everyone okay with that? Just leaving this on, and we'll address it again in February. And we'll leave that ruling to stand that no outside groups at this time.
I agree with that assessment, except for the tennis courts don't seem like they would be overused because there's only the tennis teams, right? Using those. Like, I know that was an issue at the last meeting, and I feel like the janitors will be really busy cleaning all the other stuff. So they may not be able to like handle those tennis courts cleanings or whatever, but it doesn't seem like the tennis courts would be overrun with all the other teams. You know what I mean? Because nobody needs the tennis court except tennis teams. So there would be space in those tennis courts to open up to the community if community play was allowed.
Right,
I'll
I'll defer to Jimmy, but I think one of the bigger items was, would we have the staff to be out there cleaning when they're done?
Yes.
If we're busy with everything else.
Right.
Jimmy's like, no way.
Right.
Andrea, it's a staff issue. It's not a
Right.
facility issue. Because there
Okay.
will also be three, maybe four K-8s that would have fields that could be used, but we won't have the staff time to open and close, which is required,
Okay.
and cleaning afterwards. Now, tennis, there's not much cleaning, but there is opening and closing because we're not going to give keys away for our facility.
Okay.
So that's the real issue. But you are right, but it's a staff issue.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so moving along, facilities update.
So I'm going to go back to the presentation and go to the last page and kind of give you an update on some of the, let's see, before I do that, let me remind what I'm doing, the committee, what I'm doing. Previously, staff was asked to give updates periodically on items that have been approved by the facilities committee or upgrades that have been made with the money earned through facility use and things like that. So one of the things that happened, gosh, I guess a year ago, is the sports boosters offered to put murals up at the high school. Went through the facilities committee. It was vetted by the facilities committee. It went to the board. It was vetted by the board. And now it's done. And I want to show pictures of what they got done. And it looks
Can't
great.
wait to see it.
Yeah.
One moment.
Oh, they're awesome.
Okay. So those are them. And boy, the artist did a really good job. I mean, you get up close and it's still really nice looking.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that I publicly thank the sports boosters for waiting and the time that it took, but also the money that they provided to get this done.
Yeah, they're really, really nice. I drove by there the other day and saw them. I was kind of jealous.
Yeah. And you know,
Yeah.
there's other spaces and other opportunities that I think we could take to
Yeah.
utilize the artist with some of his other proposed drawings. So at a later date.
They really came out.
And then,
good.
yeah. So, whoops. Whoa, what happened there? There we go. So this is the time for Jimmy is going to share some of his updates for facilities and what he does on his end.
So just a couple things real quick. The baseball netting at the high school is paused because of rain, a rain delay. It was supposed to start this week. Obviously it rained pretty hard over the weekend. So we were hoping to punch some holes this week. Got pushed back. I don't have a confirmation date. I expect it to happen hopefully over winter break. I've been working with the principal at Cuesta. They want to put a marquee up on the front of the school on the multi, pretty much above the music room at the top there. We walked the site today with the electrician to get the estimated cost to install the electrical. It needs its own dedicated circuit, all that kind of stuff. So I will get that to the principal as soon as I get the quote, and then she's going to bring it to the full board, I believe, at some point for approval. And then it's mid-year for us. So what we do is we look at work orders and where we are and how much we have accomplished so far. From July 1st to today, we've completed 935 work orders. Last year, the whole year 1920, we completed 1,816. And the year before that was 1,907. So we're at 935 right now, almost at the midpoint. We're right on pace where we should be. So that's good for our department. So a wide variety of issues we work on: electrical, plumbing, HVAC, all kinds of stuff. So that's all the updates I have.
Okay, any questions from the committee? Thanks, Jimmy.
You are welcome.
Okay. The baseball field, you already addressed that. There was nothing else on that, right?
No.
Sorry.
Would you like me to give our new member a little background on that real quick?
Sure,
or-
this has been an item for a long time.
It has.
Yeah.
Is
this
it
an item-
the foul line poll?
Yes, the foul screen.
I
yeah.
did hear your update at the last meeting,
Okay,
but go ahead and feel free to tell me what you want to tell me.
Well, you heard it all because it's the same place it was then.
Okay.
We have a contract. It's been paid. We're just waiting on the contractor, who is the same contractor that built Cordis.
Okay.
And it's all set. The money, everything's good to go. We're just waiting on the weather and the right time to get it done.
I thought it was a good choice to have that extra support. I can't remember what it's called in the ground. So
Yeah, that was Jimmy.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the rebar.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and last night's rain is supposed to be the last rain for a little while. So I think you might be good to actually get that done over winter break. Okay. Action items. So we discussed it. A is amendment number 1, the additional cleaning costs due to the pandemic. So Mr. Harrison explained what that was. And so now it's up to the committee to approve for that. Then it goes forward to the board, right, Thor?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if it gets approved here by the committee, this increase in the custodial cleaning during the pandemic, we would approve it. And if we do, then it'll go to the board at the next board meeting for final approval. So we don't have to take motions and everything, do we? No.
No,
So
ma'am.
yeah. So any questions? Do we have consensus to move forward on that cleaning?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We also have a request by the boosters to use the Mountain House High School parking lot for a fundraiser at the end of January. Mr. Harrison?
I was approached by the principal of the high school who was communicating on behalf of the sports boosters. They want to do a fundraiser on January 30th in the parking lot of Mountain House High School. It would be a burrito drive-through window to help earn money for sports boosters. They have really not had any. They've had no football games. They can't sell their swag. I assume they'll sell some of their stuff while they're out there. But it's going to be completely drive-through. Nobody's going to be close. No social, no breaking of the social distancing rules. I don't see that there is a safety concern if we're going to have drive-throughs in town. I don't see why we couldn't have a drive-through in our parking lot to help the sports boosters. So that's my report.
Yeah. And my thought on this is with the caveat that people don't get out of their cars, then it's fine.
Yeah.
What does the rest of the team think?
I agree. They are hurting a lot.
Yeah.
Usually they depend on this money and then they need it. So why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Any input, Andrea?
I agree. I've been
Okay.
talking a lot, so I'm trying to.
Yeah. We're
I
a
think
small committee. It's fine.
I think it'll be great. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that has consensus from this team and
Yeah.
it can go on the fundraiser list for the board in January.
Yeah. The Friday update, we'll put it in the Friday update for this coming update tomorrow, Sharon. So it'll be
Yeah.
in there. So
Okay.
we'll get it in there tonight. So it's there for the updates so that they can contract with the taco truck company and get everything ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for them. I'm glad they're doing that. That'll be good for the community also.
Yeah.
Because the other drive-through events, when we did the graduations and stuff like that, they were fabulous.
Yeah.
So, okay. So does anyone have any future agenda topics they want to suggest?
I do.
Okay.
Baseball netting,
Baseball netting.
the baseball foul poles. Uh,
Well, I have a question about maybe we could, with the addition of a cleaning fee, and I'm not sure how long that's going to, endure. And then the potential of, the facilities opening up to the kids, and then maybe eventually the community. I'm wondering if we should discuss the price point of renting those facilities if you're going to have additional fees for cleaning, because it seems to me like that's going to be a hardship for people in economically hard times to rent things like that. I
Mhm.
don't know. I mean, it seems like it's expensive anyway. I haven't looked at it really closely. I have looked into renting a school, facility, several years back, but I do remember from the discussion last time that the group wanting to use the facility said they were willing to pay, even in normal circumstances, let's say not COVID circumstances, they were willing to pay, but the price point was very expensive, especially if it's like a family, that wants to go, use the facility or whatever.
Mhm.
Does that
So
make
we
sense?
have a lot of background on this issue.
Okay.
When the facilities handbook, when this committee was started and our schools were being built, that handbook was written based on the standard of our surrounding districts. So
Mhm.
we're not out of whack. We're
Okay.
completely aligned with Pleasanton and Tracy. Who else did we use, Thor? Do you remember? I don't think you were here when we wrote the original. Jimmy was.
I wasn't. Yeah.
I think most of it was based on Tracy.
Mhm.
It was.
Yeah, and I personally have a lot of experience with this kind of stuff because I ran the pool in my former district before I retired. Yeah, it is a nice chunk of change. It's expensive, but you all have to keep in mind the level at which the district has to protect itself with insurance and the cleaning fees and, your suggestion of could we have, people who are using it do some cleaning, that's great. And forgetting COVID, we still have union issues and we
Right.
can't have
Mhm.
volunteers doing union-based jobs.
Right.
You've been a teacher, you get that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors that we have to consider in there.
Well, I'm wondering if, yeah, I totally get that. I'm wondering if it could, I don't know. I guess I'm wondering if because the circumstances are so exceptional, with everybody being affected, by a pandemic and many people experiencing hardship and our facilities being one of the only outlets that people have in this community to use. Well, not, we don't have, they don't have them yet, but our facilities are one of the only forms of recreation in Mountain House. For, of course, our kids the students need it first, but our community members, need something as well. I was just thinking it could be at least talked about and just maybe reconsidered even a temporary way.
Well, I'm gonna just kind of step out there and this is just my opinion. We're not supposed to be gathering. So
Right.
it doesn't even pay for us to address that at this point.
Sure.
Maybe somewhere down the line, and I'm hoping that, once we're allowed to gather, more people will be back at work and they can't afford more of that kind of
Right.
stuff. So, but yeah, we shouldn't be gathering right now.
Right. Well, that's what I thought
Time.
for the next agenda in 3 months. Maybe it'll be, a different tier.
Yeah, so what I would suggest is that meeting by meeting, we watch where we are by tier, because it takes a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks to change tiers.
Mhm.
So, and we meet, every 3 months. So I'd say wait on those. There's not going to be any time for outside groups for quite some time
Sure.
anyway. So
Okay.
we can look at putting that on some future agenda. We'll see where we are when we set the agenda for the next meeting, where we are in the colored tier. I'm not anticipating.
It's fine. I
changes.
understand.
Yeah, okay.
No, but that last time, I may have an answer for your question. It came to a point last time that if a family wants to take the place and use it, that's good, great. We can put the price at a lower, range. But if a person is taking it and they want to run a tennis class or a basketball class and they are making money off of it, and that brings because you are taking, let's say I'm a person who's running a class and I'm hiring it at the same rate as a mom like you who wants to take her kids or do something in there. It's not fair to you and to somebody like me who wants to take the place and make money, right? So it came to that point, is what last time when it came to that point, I was like, no, because I don't know how would you filter that? Like, where would you stop and say, hey, this person can take it and make money off of it, and this person is just using it as recreational, whatever, just a normal playing family thing, right?
Yeah, Saint, thank you. I forgot about that layer. One of the people that was requesting the usage of the tennis courts from us was saying family use. And then in talking to them, it came to light that they were going to be doing lessons that they were going to charge for.
Well, I guess I don't really see that as an issue. Like, I don't think there should be a tiered charge for whoever's using the facility. Like, you shouldn't lower the fee for a family or, raise it. I think it should be a flat rate. It's a flat rate, right?
Yeah.
I don't see that an issue with, it's not against the law, or there's like no law that says they can't use it to coach lessons. I don't see that being an issue. I mean, if I, like, as a volleyball
So
coach,
they wanted us to lower the rate and then go ahead and make a
Yeah.
profit.
Oh,
So
no.
those two pieces
Okay.
together.
So they
I
brought
see.
in Pleasanton's rates, and then they were like,
Uh-huh.
oh, so and so is giving us such a rate, and this person is doing this, and we want to run a show with 14 kids. So like,
Mhm.
it's not fair, because why would we want to lower the rate just because?
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
was
get
the
that part.
application that came in, and then when it came to a plate, then we said, no, let's not talk about it, because we're not going to be going back into this anyways at this point.
Sure.
So we just
Okay.
moved it to the next meeting, and then the next meeting is this, and then
Okay.
it's like,
I guess I missed that detail.
yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, Ms.
Please.
Lampel,
Yes,
point
please.
one additional item out, and I'm quoting Matthew Balzerini, former board member, is these athletic facilities, these fields, these NPRs, these gyms, these weight rooms, these et cetera, were built for the students of Mountain House community and Lambertville communities to use, and they get first priority, they get first dibs, and then everyone else gets to use them in a secondary or tertiary manner. And that's like my job, to make sure that they get to use everything as appropriate, and then everything else goes from there. So,
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with that as well. I do feel, I'm sorry, I don't want to be a thorn in everybody's side on my first meeting. So like that the community is funding the building of those facilities, through the measures, that they're measure L, et cetera, et cetera. And it doesn't mean they're entitled to the facilities, but everybody has a stake in the facilities. So I just guess I hope that we can just be more compassionate in that, trying to do whatever we can to alleviate some suffering. That's all. Just because it's really hard. And you say you're a sports person. I was going to call you Thor, but should I say Mr. What's your last name? I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
my name
What
is
do you-
Thor and I go by Thor.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, there's like sorry, there's all these formal terms and I didn't want to put my foot in my mouth, but okay, thank you. I can't remember what I was going to say. So, I got mom brain. Anyway, I just we've all been living through, oh, you're a sports guy. I'm a sports lady. Like I need to be out, walking every day. I need to be out. It's been really hard not being able to be physically active. So I feel I understand the plight. And I'm not saying that we need to like bend rules or anything like that, but I do feel like we could do everything within our power to alleviate suffering, I guess.
So Andrea, if you
Yeah.
look at, I'm actually looking at the amounts, that last page of our agenda,
Mhm,
where we had the piece that was highlighted for the cleaning,
mhm.
the charges for the tennis courts just happen to be on that page,
Oh, okay.
okay? So there's no charge for tier 1, which is our groups. There's no charge for tier 2, which is PTA, school parent club, and district-sponsored foundations. There's $11.25. Thor, that's per hour, right?
Yes.
Okay, so $11.25 per hour for youth groups and governmental agencies. Other nonprofits, $15 an hour. And then the fair market value for other groups, like if there was a professional organization, $65 an hour. I don't see these as astronomical. I really
Okay.
don't.
Is that for the whole facility or is that
That's for
court?
tennis. I'm just reading the tennis line.
No, I mean, is that per court or for the all courts in the tennis courts? I'm wondering.
I don't know. Thor,
I'd want to look at the whole packet and affirm that. But they
Yeah.
also have to have insurance, right?
Yeah.
They have to have, wow, I turned right to the page. That means I'm in this way too much. Okay. Yeah, those are the hourly rates with a 2-hour minimum. And then they also have to pay for the custodian to open and close and any cleaning.
Mhm.
So, and the custodian's at $34.22 an hour. They would have to pay a 2-hour minimum of $34.22 an hour, plus the tennis court charge of $11.25 or $15 or $65, depending on the tier, per hour of use, and provide $1 million of liability insurance with Lambertville Unified School District named on the insurance.
Okay.
And if somebody wanted to do a one-shot deal for something, having run the pool in my previous district, you can get one-day insurance. Because I
Right.
had lots of people
Right.
do that. They would go to their insurance company and get that $1 million liability just for their event.
Okay.
So I don't see that as astronomical.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's good to know that you said that. That's probably a lot of people probably don't know that.
Okay, any other suggestions for agenda items for future meetings? Okay, our next meetings for the 2021 school year will be February 4th, 2021 and May 13th, 2021 at 6:30. And time will tell if it's virtual or in person. We'll make that decision as we find out what tier we're in. So at that point, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:35 p.m. Have a wonderful holiday, everybody.
Happy
Thank you,
You
everybody.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Welcome, Andrea.
Yes, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you.
Good night, Jimmy.